New Orleans is one of the most famous cities in the world, made even more so by the August 2005 hurricane that defines the city's history as pre-Katrina and post-Katrina. Last week, a Washington Times White House correspondent and staff photographer headed to the Gulf Coast to survey recovery efforts and to attempt to tell the story about President Obama's policy from outside the White House walls. Much of the city had improved, but entire neighborhoods were still left abandoned. The new president, 50 days into his administration, sent 2 cabinet secretaries to the region to tour the damage and to free up money to help get New Orleans residents back in their homes. They joined local officials on a bus tour, seeing a college stuck in red tape and unable to fully rebuild, and meeting a man who had been without his home for 3 years, aided by a local nonprofit but still left emotional about the loss. On a tour led by Mayor Ray Nagin and Senator Mary Landrieu, Governor Bobby Jindal, a caravan of buses with the Secretaries Janet Napolitano and Sean Donovan passed both Wasteland and Progress as they passed through the city. They capped the public portion of their day with a press conference in front of a freshly painted and innovative housing development in the Upper Ninth Ward. The secretaries told reporters they were disturbed by the lack of progress and promised to cut through bureaucracy to help more people, and noted they were emotionally moved by the personal stories of loss they had heard. Their tour lasted several hours before they held private meetings with local emergency officials, housing leaders, and nonprofits. But they didn't come here. Instead, they paused on the Claiborne Bridge to briefly survey what was once the Lower Ninth, getting a glimpse of actor Brad Pitt's green building project. Had they ventured further in, they would have seen various stages of progress and disrepair. Though new houses are popping up along the way as people return home, most of the Lower Ninth, where 10,000 of the city's poorest families once owned homes, is flattened. In the year after the storm, the same street was nearly impassable, as cars and pieces of homes smashed during the flood littered the streets. A couch sat on a rooftop, and the contents of people's lives were in piles on the street for all to see. Thanks to the thousands of spring-breaking college students and volunteers who came over the years from across the country, most of that has been cleared away, and vegetation and even wild dogs have taken over. Little has changed from a visit last year, as vast plots of land remain overgrown and homes that weren't washed away sit crumbled along the road. Some of the streets are stunning examples of the city's reemergence. A neighborhood may have vibrant signs of life on one corner and grim reminders of the storm's toll across the street. President Obama's cabinet secretaries promised they would be back and said he is fully committed to the region. Read the story, see more video from the trip, and view a gallery of Rod Lamke's photos at WashingtonTimes.com.